Was it them new Adidas gears? Damn, that gets me excited. Can't wait to see what the key. You know what the keeper them are going to say, man? Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people, and we are back. You know, we had some slight technical difficulties just now, but as Alkaline said, them never want here, so we cut and come back with the formula in the real way. And this is just essentially a part two, where we kick it off real quick by having Simon Preston walk us through the match in Santa Cruz. Unfortunately, this other Sports TV was not able to make the long journey to St. Elizabeth, even though that was a part of the plans, but due to unforeseen events, we weren't able to make it. But of course, the reliable Simon Preston did make it. And how was the sequel?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. You know, the second game, we saw a lot of similarities from the first. Not a whole lot different. The persons that shined in the first game, it was similar to the second game as well. Bell is going to need to play almost every minute if Jamaica is going to stand a chance at qualification. Bell is the key to the how we attack. And in addition to winning those set pieces in and also outside of the box as well. It was great to see the team. I'm grateful that also, you know, the students of St. Elizabeth Technical stayed after school to watch the game as well, showed their passion for it and everything of that nature. The pitch was good. It is good for the quality of football. It rolled well, similar to what we saw from Arnett Gardens as well. We got to see Joshua Grant as well from Inter Miami Academy. He played the second half while Lynch was the first half. And Grant also played in the penalty shootout, which Jamaica won 4-2. And Grant saved 2 penalties. So from the shootout, the 2 shootout that we saw, Grant, for me, from the 12 yards, was impressive from the save in the penalties part. But Lynch, for me, goes into the qualifiers as the number 1 in the tournament itself. Perhaps you have a slightly different take, but Lynch keeps
I think for me, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, I've only seen one game. I think Twain Lynch has a strong shot to be the best player on this team. I think it's a strong possibility that he is definitely one of, if not the best player on this team. I was truly impressed by his performance and by his warm-up, by his ability to play the ball off his feet, his distribution, everything. I think Twain Lynch is more mature than Grant and a better goalkeeper. But maybe in the penalty shootout, Joshua Grant might have the edge in that regard. But I didn't see Joshua Grant any at all.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. And I heard a little to what you and Rush was saying in terms of squads, you know, if this team was to go on and succeed. And you'd remember the under-17 team with Omar Holness and Richard Trench and company, you know.
Could not.
Nico Campbell was basically the only new player, you know, that didn't play in the qualifiers. So if you're going to call up somebody that didn't play in the qualifiers at the World Cup, it would have to be 1 or 2 faces. For me, it would have to be somebody that is a definite 11, not just making up numbers. Nico Campbell didn't make that call, but, you know, I definitely think Richard Trench was a better keeper. But
and Nico Clark was only included because of the injured Odin. Nico Campbell was only included because of the injured Odin Clark, right? Or Odin Brown. I don't remember his last name, the JC keeper. I think would have been the number 1 keeper had he not gotten hurt right before the World Cup. That's the only reason why Nico Campbell got included. Surprised Nico Campbell started those 2 games. I was truly surprised that Nico Campbell got the start over Richard Trench. I was utterly surprised.
It's an interesting one because Cunningham came in when Clark got that injury. So, so for Nico to get the start against the Japan outfit, it was really, really shocking to see that because Trench, for me, was like, why didn't he start the Japan game? I think we could have gotten a point from that game.
This time against France, it was?
Yeah, the Trench game was against France.
Yeah, and he was outstanding. He had a really good game in that. So the Nico Campbell one was a shock to me. But yeah, as you were saying about the inclusion of Denzel McKenzie, come World Cup time, if we manage to qualify.
Right. If we are to qualify, and as Jeff said, if a man catch COVID or injury, sure, absolutely. But I don't think he would be first priority in those situations, to be honest with you. If a one player in midfield gets an injury, he wouldn't be the first choice, to be quite frank with you. As you said, 3-4 man, yeah, absolutely. But he wouldn't be the first choice midfielder to go into the squad. So
And that's not because of quality, because I do believe that Denzel McKenzie I think he's good enough to be in the squad right now. But based on the circumstances under which he left the trials, opting to go. Well, this was what was reported. He opted to go to Europe rather than stay and be a part of this team. Because I do believe that in this qualifiers, Denzel McKenzie could have bolstered our team, could have bolstered our midfield, who I think is particularly weak in this competition. But he opted to go to Europe, and I just don't agree with that decision. I love the player. He is my favorite schoolboy player. I really genuinely don't love that decision. So that's the only reason why I would not have him in the World Cup squad. If some miracle happens and we do end up qualifying.
yeah, I understand what you mean.
Simon,
Yeah.
I have a question. I know that we take penalties after the two friendlies, and it seemed that what we want to do is be defensively assured. We don't want to concede goals. Do you get the sense that Marion Garden's plan is to not concede and see how many points we're at the end of the group stage?
So for him, for Marion Gordon specifically,
yeah,
defensively speaking, yeah, that would be a great way to look at it. If we don't concede, we're certainly not going to lose a game. So yeah, that's a good angle to look at it. Finishing second is something that the Jamaicans don't want to do at all, because it's two sorts to it. One, you're facing the United States, and secondly, as you know, we play a game Cuba, then 2 days later Guadeloupe, then 2 days later Costa Rica, and the round of 16 will be 2 days as well. However, if Jamaica finishes first or third, there's a 3-day gap between games. So it allows the team an opportunity, an additional day to rest, recuperate, and also prepare for the next game. So first or third would be the priorities in terms of the group stages, and also in terms of the potential opponents as well. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of self-examination after the first game. If Jamaica gets a win or a point, then focus might have to slightly shift. If we know group honors is not available, then third it would have to be. And I know many people are saying, why should we be afraid to face the United States? Look, it's a reality of the situation. Look at their roster. You don't see the word Inter Miami Academy beside it. You see Inter Miami. You see New York Rangers.
Yeah.
The only teams that you see Academy on it is their two Barcelona players, part of their roster.
And to be a part of the Barcelona Academy is something different.
Yeah, so that's something that I mentioned in the last under-20 competition, I think, where we had the likes of Timo Weah and Josh Sargent absolutely wreaking havoc on all the teams in CONCACAF. Those players at that time were fully professional players making over £15,000 a week. At that point, playing an under-20 competition. What do you think they're going to do? And it's the same thing with under-17s. They have 16 and 17-year-olds playing fully professional football. You're not going to see the academy, like, as I said, the likes of the Molina and so on and so forth. They could not sniff a USA team.
Yeah. The only person, honestly, that was part of the US, but is now part of us, Ashton Gordon, was part of US under-15, now Jamaica under-17. And US are not happy about it. If I'm being frank, for this USA team, he could make the 20, maybe not start in it, but he would certainly make it because what he did from the under-15 level. So there's a continuity that the US wants to ensure that 5 to 8 players move on different age group levels and so on and so forth. But yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. Our players are not professional. Molina is the closest because he actually trains a few times with Dallas's first team, but hasn't signed a professional contract yet. So the US, the Mexicos, the Canadas, these are players that are already getting paid to do what they love. Not the same for our players at all. They get a stipend in terms of transportation to go to and from training, but not paid to do what they love for a living, which is a completely different conversation. So yeah, for me, if you offer me first or third, I'll grab that right now. I just don't want to finish second. So that's the way how I look at things. And yeah, Rush asked the question in relation to the defensive output of things. The real test will lie for that Costa Rica game and hopefully the round of 16 if Jamaica is to progress, because it's been Trinidad so far that has not been a great team. And as we know, the club teams, that we've seen him in, is that the real test that the Jamaicans would want, come up against a Veer or a Harbourview or a Portmore or a JDF? Is that real test for the team? Okay, yeah, they're going to play big man physically. All right, so physically they'll be up for it, trying to win those second balls and things like that and the 50-50s. But the real test will come starting with that Costa Rica game as well from that defensive standpoint. We know the challenges, that when you have a midfield too, what can happen? There can be overloads. So we'll see if Costa Rica can be able to manage that. But the back three defensively, yeah, it's how we can maintain that.
That's something that I want to speak to you about. In the game that we played at Arnett, what it seemed to me like they were doing, it seemed like both Barrett was playing as a wide midfielder, as a wide winger, and Adrian Reed was playing a left back position. I spoke to Reed and Gordon about that, and he did mention that Adrian Reed was playing in a left back. So is the position that they have Barrett up the field and playing Reed at left back, or are they playing a back five? Because for many parts in the first game, it looked like they were playing a back four.
Yeah, you're right. You're right in terms of the game at Arnett Gardens. That was the goal of it, to try to confuse the Trinidadians, to have that sort of chain reaction so that Adrian Reed could shift left and Bolt Barrett could go a bit further forward. But the second game definitely in St. Elizabeth was a back three that was utilized in that game in particular. I expect it to be a bit flexible in the competition. Maybe not so in the latter stages, but the Guadelupes and the Cubas, it wouldn't surprise me to see that flexibility from the early point of the competition. And you made mention about Reed as well. I'm sure he'd have made mention about you as well, that he's also comfortable in midfield as well. Yeah. So perhaps for the latter stages of the competition, could he and Mangatal be in midfield and perhaps Gooden be in centre half? So that's something I could consider as well, because if there weren't injuries earlier in the camp, Reed would perhaps be in midfield. So something to consider there as well, that because of Reed's comfort on the ball, especially centrally, midfield could be an area that we could also see him in as well later in the tournament. So it's not being ruled out by any means.
Yeah, because as I said, he I think, besides, as I said, I was super impressed with Tuane Lynch. You alluded to Jamani Bell, who, as you said, is the only player that will give us any hope of getting anything from any of these games. It has to come from Jamani Bell. He will win the set piece to get us the goal, or he will create the cut in to get the pass, or he will be scoring the goals himself. But it will be coming from Jamani Bell. I think you just made mention of that. But I think besides Lynch and Bell, I've been super impressed with Reed. Not knowing him as a defender, based on what I've seen from him in the under-16 competition, which he was still eligible to play this season, and the Manning Cup competition, which he played a lot for St. George's, he was playing in a midfield role. In fact, sometimes you even saw him out wide. So I was a bit surprised to see him playing in a left-back position at Anthony Spalding Complex, considering that he's a right footer. So there just seemed that there is so many things out of place. But though he was playing so far removed from what most people deem him comfortable in, he looked so assured playing that inverted wing-back role. And that's something that I want to speak on. I asked Merrion Gordon about Adrian Reed's versatility and his importance. And he did make mention to the fact that having a player like this, as they would say, a Swiss utility weapon or a Swiss utility tool, that's exactly what Adrian Reed is. What are your thoughts on him as a player?
Adrian Reed is a completely talented player. From I saw him at Cavalier in the CASAFA under 15 competition, I had a feeling that certainly he would go on to be a versatile individual. I'm interested to see if he's going to settle down in one position in his late teens or early 20s, or if he's going to continue to have that versatility. I hope he continues to have that versatility, because many folks remember Alvas Paul from his time at Paul Bogle could play central midfield, could play centre half, could even play centre forward as well. And then when he went to the United States, they put him at right back, and that was it for the rest of his career. Javane Brown, centre half and right back at Kingston College. And
central defensive midfield as well. And you make mention to those two players, both Brown and Powell, going on to become starting right backs for Jamaica, each of them. Could we see Adrian Reed make that transition to fill that very, very weak right back position that we have right now? I think that's where Jamaica's a deficit at central defensive midfield and right back.
Is Adrian Reed the son of former reggae boy?
Yep. He is, yeah. That's Adrian Reed Jr. He look just like him father, just like him father.
You know, wonder where the similarity are pop up from in the
Yes. Could we see him step up and attempt to challenge Javian Brown for that right back spot, even though we see him playing on the left side of defense in the U17 team? But I can imagine as a right back, he'd overlap and get in good squares, and he looks very assured defensively, and he can help us build out from the back. Could we see Adrian Reed being the next quote-unquote Alva Spoil? Because Alva Spoil, up to age 25 years old, was on the trajectory to be one of Jamaica's all-time best right backs. I don't know why he just fell off a cliff, but Alva Spoil in his early 20s was the man, my favorite player. Not sure what happened after that as he tapered off to his 30s, but could Adrian Reed step up and be that wing-back gap, or do you see him playing in the central midfield role, which we also have a deficit in?
For me, I think it's early in terms of, when it comes to senior team stuff, but in terms of moving forward, I would want him to have that versatility of the midfield, the central defensive midfield option, and also being able to occupy anywhere across the back line. So I'd want him to have that versatility, because in tournament football, competition football, that is what you're going to need. Anything can happen at any moment in time. The games come thick and fast, injuries, suspensions, players not having passports in time, and which is why you're going to need that versatility of players changing in tactics in the middle of the game. So I want him to not be stuck to one position. And throughout this competition coming up as well, I want that to be a key aspect as well. Looked good from set pieces as well, running all the way from centre half to come for the corner kicks on the attacking side of things, and being able to sprint back to get back into his position as well. Yeah. So maybe Gold Cup 2027, perhaps. Yeah, but it's going to take time. Yeah.
Simon, do you get the sense that we don't quite know what we want to do as yet in terms of team selection, in terms of style of play? Because I hear Meran Garden mention that sometimes I go through the middle, sometimes they go over the top. I've seen a couple of players that started in the first game, not started in the second game. You ever feel like we don't know our best team yet, or we don't know the best strategy to go forward as a team?
I wouldn't say we don't know our team. I would say where Meran Gordon is concerned, for him, it's about the approach per game. So Cuba doesn't like to play the ball in the air. Guadeloupe is a bit more physical, while the Costa Ricans are technical. So the way how he is methodical with his preparation is tailored to the opposition. So, all right, that Cuba doesn't like to play the ball in the air, so we know that we can be very, very direct with them. All right, Guadeloupe is going to be physical with us, but we can at least have we can have persons like a Bell and like Bolt Barrett that have that technical ability as well. And the Costa Ricans that are a bit more comfortable on the ball, that is an element that would have to shore up defensively. So the way Meran Gordon is thinking is specifically, what is the opponent's weakness? All right, what is their strength? What can I do to neutralize that strength? And all right, that weakness, what can I do to penetrate that weakness? So it's from that standpoint tailored to the opposition. So we know definitely the first game, Cuba, not a team that likes to play the ball in the air, which means defensively as well. So it will be from that sort of standpoint. So don't be surprised to see Nick Simmons the first game, and then the second game it's Ashton, and then the next game it's Arian Watson. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the front three having that flexibility, bar Jamani Bell, but the defensive options to basically remain the same.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like playing on the back foot, or tailoring your style of play towards the opposition instead of imposing yourself on them. But that could turn out to be a masterstroke, because on the face it sounds like a bad thing. But maybe Meran Garden is just aware enough to know that we're not as technical as we'd want to be in terms of just ability and gift. We're just not as good as we'd want to be. So here what? Instead of being delusional and try to impose ourselves on everybody and go all guns blazing and losing 3-1 and 4-1, why don't we tailor our system towards the opposition who could pose a bigger challenge that we're expecting, given that we're not as talented as we want to be? And looking at it from that perspective, hearing from both of you guys who were at the game and seeing the players, they are not as good as we would have want them to be. So maybe this is the best way to go forward. Joe, how do you feel about that? Because you also think that the players are not as good as we'd want.
As I said, my perspective is always make sure that the defense is as good as it can possibly be. I'm a pragmatic person, so I have no issue with pragmatic approaches to football, and I've always been a fan of the marinas and the contest, the way how they go about football, winning at all costs. Not that I don't enjoy seeing great football being played, but I don't prioritize it. In fact, I don't care for it any at all. I'm all about doing whatever it takes to get the best result possible in order to achieve the best possible outcome. And we do have good defenders. Like, we have solid defenders and a very good goalkeeper, and I don't see any issue at all relying on that and then just seeing where the chips fall afterwards. No problem with that.
Simon, where's the goal? Where are the goals going to come from, man?
It's tough still, because the goals, even the practice games, they were hard to come by. And the reality of the situation is we look more threatening from the dead ball opportunities than really from open play. But the goals itself is going to come from Ashton Gordon or Bell himself. So from those sort of situation. And if Bell is not scoring, he's either winning your penalty or free kick or being the assist of those opportunities. So those basically are where the goals are. Simmons, hold-up play, brilliant in his hold-up play. And the opposition, or his teammates, his front three, can be able to find space in behind that he can lay it off to. But his finishing, still something to be worked upon. So there are strengths, and the goals, even probably Adrian Reed or a Dixon header from a corner kick, but I don't foresee a whole lot of goals, which is a concern because you're going into a tournament and you haven't scored a lot of goals, even in those practice games. They haven't had a lot of time together. They've been around since Christmas. Costa Rica been around since summer last year. Cuba been around since the summer, and Guadeloupe got together in November. So of the teams in our group, we got together the least of those teams, the less time together. So already behind the 8 ball there, but it's interesting what Coach Maren Gordon was said after the game yesterday when a reporter asked him, Coach, the goals look to have dried up. And his response was along the lines of, yeah, but we'll have 2 clean sheets. So you can definitely see where his mindset is at this point in time. So he just wants to make sure about that.
And you seem to have a bit more information on the teams in our group than we do. Based on the teams that we have and let's say the quality, the information that we have. Is this the right way to go?
The right way to go? I wouldn't say it's the right way to go. I honestly feel like I wish we had the UK-based players so that we could give it a go to Costa Rica in the group. Really, really think we could have gone for group honors, but at the same time, I don't want to finish second. So the right way to go against Cuba, Guadeloupe, against Costa Rica, it will have its challenges because they play a midfield 3 and we have a midfield 2, and we know what that means already in terms of mathematics. So that there will be an overrun in that sort of standpoint, which will put pressure on the back 3 right there, which is why I expect the Costa Rican game to be that real stern test. The defense is going to have to sweat and work their socks off under the lights, 8 o'clock Jamaica time, different from the early afternoon kickoffs that they have earlier in the group of the competition. So the right way to go, no, but at this stage, there's very, very little that can be changed from that standpoint.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you speak about Ashton Gordon, I'm definitely not familiar with him. I don't think he was on this match day 20. I've been looking for him on the match card. Can you tell us about this Ashton Gordon and why he isn't with us right now? Or why he hasn't played?
He was there, man.
So he played 10 minutes yesterday, but he didn't play against Trinidad and Tobago, the first game on Arnett. The reason why he didn't, because he's recovering from an injury that he picked up, I think, in the Very United game a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So he picked up an injury and he's working his way back. So he got 15 minutes yesterday. And basically when I was speaking to Maren Gordon, it's along the lines of, let's get him a half an hour against Cuba, a 45 minutes against Guadeloupe, and maybe a start against Costa Rica. So they want to build up the minutes gradually into a system and not rush him back, which gives the impression that, okay, maybe he's not going to start against Cuba, or most likely he won't start against Cuba, which means that your front 3 could look like Watson on one side, Bell on the other side, and in the middle, perhaps Simmons. So that's perhaps something that we'd have to consider in terms of that front 3 options in particular. But Ashton is the best finisher in this team. Yeah. Bell, I think he can cut in centrally. I would love to see him use that left foot and strike, because I know he has the lower center of gravity, the trickery, and the guile to beat past players. I want him to use that left foot a bit more, because I know he can get some shots off to put the opposition under some pressure.
All right.
And speaking about like the 4-3-3 or the 4-4-2 way that I saw when both Bart was playing high up the field, and it seemed as though it was a midfield three for me. I'm not exactly sure. We saw where Mahoney came on and got that beautiful assist. And speak to us about his impact in the middle of the field. He's an attacking midfielder, isn't he?
More box to box. He can play attacking midfield. Yeah, but more box to box. Yeah, Toronto FC Academy and progressed nicely through their system from he was 11, 12 years old. Unfortunately, he missed the penalty in the first game in terms of in the shootout itself. But in terms of midfield, he offers a little bit more energy than Mangatal. Mangatal does the recycling of possession very, very well, and he'll do that quite effectively. But winning the second balls, I have that concern for him. He has a strike on him, so when the ball is headed from corner kicks, he's always there to put it back in a danger area. But Mahoney, for me, in terms of the midfield option, will give us a little bit more than Mangatal. Mangatal will just ensure that, okay, we keep it, let's give it to the centre halves, and let's start again in terms of the build-up process of everything. But heading into this tournament, my big concern is we'll play Sunday, we'll play Tuesday, we'll play Thursday. So 3 games in 6 days. The recovery it has to be, very, very fast. Do we have players can handle 270 minutes in 6 days? The defense are going to have to do it, but we're going to have to do some rotation. The defense, for me, though, will have to play those 3 games back to back to back.
At 17, 18, 19, play me a match every single day. I don't care. Whether basketball or football, play me a match every single day. It don't bother me. You never good by the next day after a match, or you did feel lag after a match rush.
Yeah, you have to feel a little bit of lag, but you have to want to play, and you have to think you're good enough.
Probably because I was a goalkeeper, so probably that's something about me. But even when I played basketball,
little bit of soreness, or if you get a. You probably get a knee in your tire, your man probably step on your foot. You're going to need some recovery. You're going to need a 15 minutes of ice 3 times a day. Get your body up to 100% again. You can play, trust me. Especially at 17, you can play. But when your recovery is 70% and Costa Rica is 100%, maybe that extra bit of freshness is what gets them over the line. So at this level, I understand it, but I don't think we should be out there tired and everybody beaten up. So I understand both sides, but I don't expect it for really cause a problem, Simon. But you spoke about rotation. Talk to me about Dylan John. He started in the second game. Talk to me about his impact on that midfield.
What he did quite well was the possession to the left-hand side. So he always found Bolt Barrett in space, and it was eventually Bolt Barrett that was able to win us the penalty in that game, which was converted by Adrian Reed. So with John, he's able to have that vision to be able to find his players quite well. Rarely loses it, which is a good thing from our standpoint, because Costa Rica, if we lose the ball against them, it's going to be difficult to win it back. So that's why, those 2 banks, those 3 banks, that first line of defense is so critical. So where John is concerned, finding the front 3, that's going to be one of his main priorities, to ensure that he can be able to do that, and be able to get Bell in particular in spaces that I know that he can be able to contribute, and not by the corner flag at all times trying to beat 1 or 2 players, but into space where he will be able to have that time, that freedom to be able to move. So that will be sort of the responsibilities from John in particular. He did his job fairly well, got a good 60 minutes against Trinidad and Tobago yesterday. Do I expect him to start the tournament though? I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but he wouldn't. For me, he wouldn't be in my 11 for the first game, but I do think in a game like a Costa Rica that will play a little bit higher, that there'll be space in between. So games against Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, potentially Canada, he's starting them, but not against the Cuba and the Guadeloupe for me personally.
And ultimately, you see us being one of the 4 best teams in this competition, because that's the goal. I don't think winning it is on the cards for us, but let's speak about us being in the top 4 to make it to the World Cup. Yeah? What kind of chance do you give us? You give us a 50% chance, a 70% chance? How is it looking?
Like a 40-60% chance. 40% yes, 60%.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So in that motive. So if we finish first or third in the group, I'm up for it 100%. But second, it would absolutely deflate me personally, because if you look at the permutation, stop in the group, or that means Puerto Rico in the round of 16 and Canada in the last 8. I would actually be up for that game in terms of optimism. Finished third, all right. Panama in the round of 16 and potentially Honduras or Haiti in the quarterfinals. I'd be up for that as well.
Come on.
Versus finishing second.
This team are going to beat Panama and Haiti at under 17 level. This regular under 17 team.
Yeah, I would back us, honestly. I would back us because of the preparation. They've done the video scouting of Panama and Haiti. There's been footage of those teams more so than the teams in our group. So that's why I would be confident. At youth level, a little bit different compared to the bogey teams at the senior level. You know, we've had some decent results against them. I know Haiti has clipped us a few times at the under 17 level, but I think, you know, we're able to get over the line this time around if we're able to come up against them versus coming second and you play Guatemala, the host nation, and then USA in the quarterfinals, arguably one of the favorites of the competition. So for me, go and top the group. If we can't top the group, we'll go third. I'll give it a go. But yeah, it's gonna be.
There was a segue that the inner journalist in me wanted to bring out a few minutes ago, but it was kind of swept under the mat when he spoke about replacing Denzel Washington McKenzie with players who might have registration issues and passport issues. That I wanted to segue to the point of our players that we didn't get to incorporate because of said passport issues. I thought that would have been a great segue, but I think it was Rush who interrupted me. He might kill the journalist in me, Jaja. But yeah, speak to me about the players that would have been included. You know, the importance that they would have had to the team, their roles, and the players themselves. I think it was 3 players.
Yeah, one of them in particular, Zach Lovelace, who plays at Rangers, who, you know, trains in the first team with Kemaroof. Yep. First team, not Academy Rangers, but first team, and has played for Rangers within the first team as well. Might not start week in, week out, but 17-year-old playing in the first team. Zach Lovelace, a professional football player in Rangers in the Scottish Cup final, League Cup final at the end of the month. He would be one of the top scorers of the competition. So lethal in front of goal, powerful shot, and, you know, being able to, you know, find his way out of different challenges, even if he's surrounded by 2 or 3 players, have that trickery, that creativity to be able to come out of those situations. Zach Lovelace would have been one of them. And also Cameron Eubank, Birmingham City. He's a person that can play anywhere in as a centre half or central midfield. So the spine of the team, being able to occupy those positions. He's in the under 21s for Birmingham City, but trains with the first team from time to time.
That's why team.
So that again?
Would have been a short starter in the team.
Absolutely.
And that's our weakest position.
Yeah.
I don't think Mangatal or anybody else that we have. I think it's Mangatal and
Jordan and
Barrett. I don't think Mangatal or Barrett really has the juice for that type of position. And you're saying that he would have come in and just filled that position perfectly.
He would have occupied that role 100%. But Birmingham City, one, didn't give him the green light because of an injury that he picked up. It's a ankle knock, coinciding. In addition to that, the passports would be ready by the Guadeloupe game thereabouts.
What is this passport will be ready like thing? Is it? I've always heard that, but the way I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'm just not familiar with the process. But if the JFF needs a passport for a player, if they are pushing it, I would assume that passport could be ready in a day.
No man, 11 grand for next day.
So why? What do you mean? Explain that for me. Because me hear it at the senior level, me hear it like, what do you mean passport wouldn't be ready until like a week? What that mean?
So the thing is that the JFF, they don't help the players at under 17 level with the passports because they're minors, so they don't want to get involved with that situation. But if it's first team, then yeah, they play a significant role in that process. But the parents or guardians.
What do you mean them to get involved because I'm minor?
That's the words from the JFF and even Coach Gordon as well. So it's up to the parents or guardians to do that.
The parent them forget them passport for that you them can play for. Essentially that they say.
Yeah, that's basically the message that has been sent. So it's up to the parent or guardian of the player at under 17.
That's what Canada should have told a 14-year-old Alfonso Davies, though.
So hold on.
That's absurd.
So the parent So the JFF can't take up things even if they are given the permission by the parent. Them just not go interfere.
If the parent give the green light, then yeah, that'll be fine. Parent or guardian. But I don't think that wasn't the case for Zach, and it wasn't the case for Cameron. But at the second press conference, Marion Gordon said, look, these are minors, and it's up to the parent or guardian to get their passport so that they can be part of future camps, because they'll be part of my selection process if we qualify for the World Cup in Peru.
So it's up to the parents to get their passports.
Right.
That's absurd.
I don't know how I feel about that one, because it's
when you know how you feel about it, there's only one way to feel about it.
The thing is, the parent, they must stay out tight until it is official that them have a Jamaican passport, right? So the parent have to go to consulate wherever, or them have to come to Jamaica.
Exactly.
Whatever them have to do, hold on, whatever them have to do, get the youth the passport and then tell them. That's what JFF said, Simon?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's absurd.
If that's what they're saying, that's madness.
So you get the passport, and then when you get the passport,
it have to be.
No, man, we have to facilitate that better.
Have to be. I send a representative to England, go to them house, get the documents, then go to the consulate and get the passport sorted out for the kid. It have to be that.
That's done at under 20 and senior team level, but not under 17.
There has to be a representative. There has to be somebody whose job it is to go to England and to go to America, to go to these players' houses, to get the documents. To sort of, that has to be somebody's job.
What are they afraid of? Are there legal ramifications or something if you interfere with a minor and passport?
Well, they want to stay out of that. So even like contacting a player, even with Cameron Eubank, Coach Meron said he's not going to WhatsApp him. He's asked me to tell Cameron's father to get the green light, and then he could talk to Cameron and talk to Zach. So it's very, very, you have to get approval.
International football.
Yeah, but they're 16-year-olds, so technically minor. So you can't just say, hey, Jamar, come play for Jamaica, and you're a 16-year-old. I have to talk to your dad or your mother or your guardian or your parents.
That's true.
First.
So why am I telling you to talk to him parents? Why him not talk to him parents? I'm not saying they should be communicating with the kids.
Simon is a part of the JFF right now. Simon, a joke.
I'm not saying communicate with the kids, because even at the senior team, you don't communicate with the players. At the senior team, and them agent they communicate with anyways. You get me? I say you send them agent an email and you tell them so I not expect you to talk to the 14-year-old youth and say, yo, pack your bags, your ticket are coming at the mail. Or make an email your ticket, go Heathrow and forward. Obviously, that's not the case. But what do you mean your parents have to get the... No, I talk to him and I say, Mr. Eubanks, we want your kid to come and play for the national team. If you're interested, what we will do is have a representative come to your house in 3 days, pick up the requisite documents, carry to the consulate, and the kid will have the passport within a week. You get me? I say, and then we'll organize details for the kid to come back.
There's something that we don't know. There must be.
Rush. Logically, based on there's no legal implication with helping somebody get a passport. There can be nothing illegal about that. There's which law? Think about common sense wise.
Yeah, I think, but I don't think there's
contract or not like that.
Unless the only thing I can think about is unless you have forged some paper or you try to go through some loophole, which I don't expect us to do.
If they're not eligible to play for Jamaica, they're not eligible to play for Jamaica. I say make fake birth certificate. But if all you have to do is go pick up the mother birth certificate and carry it, go to the consulate, and because you are an ambassador of Jamaica, you don't have to go wait in an embassy line. You can just go upstairs and go deal with that, as compared to Mrs. Eubanks, if she had to go to the embassy, she have to wait in the embassy line and she have to make an appointment and she have to do all them stuff. There, you get me? I say? The JFF man, the representative for the Jamaica Football Federation, would not go in that line. He just go upstairs. I'm just call the English High Commissioner and say, the Jamaica High Commissioner in England and say, yo, this, that, we need this document to print. I'm going to have my representative come and submit these documents tomorrow morning. So that would be the only difference in her. It's not like somebody I said, go around the parents' back for getting a passport. I'm not say that. But there's no way in hell you are going to expect she to drive from Manchester, go all the way to London, For the start out, this, that. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's absurd.
You have to check if it's under the child trafficking up, if its passport is part of it as well. But I do get the point that you're making, though. I do make the point that you're making.
Yeah, it sounds ludicrous. It sounds weird.
Yeah, but as you know, at the end of the day, it's a cost as well, and that would be a cost to the JFF. So you know how that goes.
You tell me that, because that would be a costly endeavor to have somebody fly over this just to sort out them passport. That sounds like it makes more sense. I don't want to spend the money to deal with the passport, so you want to deal with it and then send the youth. That doesn't sound like it make more sense, Josh?
Yeah, it sounds like it make more sense, but even if that is the case,
I don't agree with it. It's absurd.
No, because then we have a consulate. So get a representative that works there, or somebody, from there to line up travel for the person to come across. So you pay for the travel. You don't go to them, but allow them to go to the consulate and get them an expedited process. Now, make the thing easier for them, facilitate the process. We not have to physically go. Like, we not have somebody from upper JFF fly out, represent the JFF for bring her. No. You facilitate the traveling process and expedite the process at the consulate. You get me? I say, and make it easier. But if it's just a case where they say we are still to all document issues,
you can't just tell them, say, go deal with it normal way and then forward. No, it have to be okay. They're expecting you on this and that time. You should be there by 8. You won't be required to join any lines. All you have to do is submit this document, and the passport will be mailed to you within a week. Fine. But I'm saying they should have representatives, because England and America, they send representatives to have this done. Them send people, go to them, forget it done for them. So that's what I'm saying. But even if they say,
we don't know the budget stay, so we can't say send. But there are better ways to do it than to say, yo, Simon, link. No, that can't be it.
You can imagine, I tell the person, say, go sort out them passport and then we talk. Madness.
To be part of the camp process and thing. Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Because then the thing is, with the under 17 thing, remember we have camps. So it's not like I'm gonna get a sure selection. So I guess they're saying we now go, accrue all of them expenses here.
And me can travel come Jamaica on my British passport. So where the hell may I get Jamaican passport for them?
Then bro, they must say, yo, remember when you are saying it's a cost. Right? So they must say, this is just a camp me are invited to. This is not an official call up. So I don't want to spend all that money for you come out and
exactly. That's what parents would there say. And him don't need a Jamaican passport to travel to Jamaica to visit him grandparents. So why am I going to spend all of this money for just a camp where him must make the team? It's not like him don't need that Jamaican passport now make him life any better.
It's needed if he wants to represent the country.
It's just that if we want him bad enough, or if he wants to represent the country bad enough, which one higher? That's what's going to give. And at the moment, it seems like, let's say in that specific player's case,
in them 3 baller there was Simon. I thought, well, you haven't spoken about the third one. You've only spoken about 2. Bro, them 2 players there are 2 players where come and slot in. Lovely is probably the best player on the team.
Danica Knight, hold on, I'm going to respond to a comment. Danica Knight, yeah, man, Simon already tell you, say, we do help the JFFL players at the under 20 and senior level. So, congrats, kudos, good job.
No, which congrats?
No, if they help them get it at the under 20 and the senior level, good. But if
that's
what?
For the course. That's just like
good job. You're doing your job well.
Good. You're not going to congratulate the federation for providing a senior team with ball.
Relax, everything. They want to do them job. You're doing your job. Good. No, what we're speaking about is the under 17. And Simon, I try to get you to understand the how them have a tiptoe around it, because they don't want to get too involved with minors. So that we are trying to understand. So it's not getting people's passport at all levels. We understand that they do it at the higher levels. Simon, finish what you say.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You're everything you said. I echo it 100%. So it's along those lines. Jomar was asking about the other player in particular.
Okay.
Yeah. Lumsden from LA. He has a passport, but there was an injury situation with him, so that's the reason why he's not there. But yeah, the first 2 in relation to the passport situation, I really do understand the frustration. I really, really do understand the situation. But either way, how this world has been since COVID, it's like you take a step foot forward and everybody's eyes are on you and everything of that nature. So it's just those persons are putting their P's and Q's in the right place. And when I say, not help at all, there is help in a sense of, okay, Jomar, okay, Rush. So step 1, step 2, step 3, this is what you need to do. Find daddy bird paper, find mommy bird paper, carry go a London Eye Commission, pay £50 and wait X amount of days. If you want to expedite it, then pay the extra £50. So that will do that.
Tell the people them for pay money, Virgin. Just go and go submit your documents now. Fine, just go. They will be expecting you submit your documents. No payment, no debt. Which pay? What kind of pay we are talking about?
For represent the nation.
Mr. Lovelace, you need to provide this information, that information. We'll have a driver for you outside at that time. They'll carry you to the, since you have forgot it, they'll carry you to the consulate. You'll be escorted upstairs, you'll submit these documents, and then the passport will be mailed to you within 2 weeks.
Jomar for JFF president.
And then we'll sort out travel documents. What kind of pay for passport?
Yeah, it sound crazy. We didn't go around it.
And if anybody look for me, as much as me say me love the country, but to be honest, if I have a child that's born outside of the country, I think I would have him get a Jamaican passport as a baby, so that him could stay as long in Jamaica as he want. But if that's the case, I'm gonna grow up and him end up now have a Jamaican passport and him a baller. And him gonna look for me and tell me, say, me have to go pay for getting passport. I think.
And someone said there was some technical issues for some of them. Technical issues are very simple. It's either you not have the papers you have or you have it.
Yes,
it's as simple as that.
The reality is some players don't.
Sorry, go.
Because what the thing is, some people can represent the team by their grandparents. And then for them grandparents probably can't find for them passport or birth paper. And or the parents can't find it. Or they left around one part where they move. So that's the only technical thing we can see. Where they just can't find the paper.
That and you tell 90-year-old granny for open one folder from 1900, for open this and that. And the next thing is you don't have a relationship with your father. You live with your mother your entire life. Oh, hey, Dad, so I need the documents. For the first time in your life, you talk to him. But you have a solution to that. You have RGD down a Spanish town. Give your father the name, date of birth. So that's an option as well. So,
like, you look stressed out, boy. Yeah, that's what it is. So it's either you're Jamaican or you're not. Like, that's hard. Like, you have to be registered. Like, we can type in a name and go look. You see me? So as I said about RGD, if you don't have a paper, granny or pops or mums, we'll go check. You see me? It's either it's true or it's not. So the technical issue is just a fancy way of saying them now have the papers or them can't find it or whatever. Which still is not an excuse, because as I said, there are ways to find out if you were born in Jamaica. There are ways. You see me? So it's really not that hard, but there are things to understand. The under 17 and asking the parents to figure it out is kind of sound crazy to us. And probably there is more explaining to do. Maybe someone at a higher pay grade can explain it a bit better. But me not see the difficulty in it. Talk to me about Che Adams. He's still around the team. I was looking at a picture a while ago. He seems to be in the picture. What's going on there?
Che Daniels?
Yeah, the gardener, Basically, he's one of the 4 reserve players. So basically, the 4 reserves, they don't travel with the team. But if a man gets injured before the Cuba game, then one of the 4 reserves would be traveling for, to make it in time for the first game in particular. So the 4 reserves, them hang around in camp, and any man that gets injured by any reason, they would just join the squad. So, his father...
Samir Blow is one of them.
Samir, one of
the third goalkeeper.
As well from Mount Pleasant is another one too.
Do we know the 4?
Some technical obviously 2 of them are Che Gardner and Samir Blows.
Yeah, one of the other 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Samir, is one of them as well. 4 reserve players, and so they just hung around in case someone get injured and thing.
Who are the 4? Gardner, Blows, and who else?
So you have Che Gardner, you have Wilberforce from Mount Pleasant Academy, you have Blows, and there's one more. I'll tell you his name in just a moment. So basically, they would stay around town and things like that and wait for it. But basically, it's Odin Wilberforce, Mount Pleasant, Samir Blows, Ryan Heron, Orlando City, and Che Daniel Gardner. Those are the 4. Yeah. So those are the 4. Yeah, I mean, and I see the comments as well, what Devil Dog has said. It can be at times, because sometimes you have a situation where Jomar Graham leaves Jamaica and he's no longer Jomar Graham, he is Rashane Graham. And that can be a challenge, honestly, because sometimes that happens as well. But you just have to show us that, yo, I did born Jomar. So there's ways and ways around things that can make things work. So a long process.
Yeah. Any more bases to touch, bro? Been on for a minute.
As I said, very, very comprehensive. And as the competition go on, we'll be watching. We'd love to have Simon. If Simon have up on film channel for get a little dynamism. I can't pronounce that word.
What are you doing, my guy?
Simon, help me with the word. Help me for the
Dynamism, bro.
adverb for dynamic. What you said?
Dynamism.
My God, yeah, that's a holer, bro.
I'm generally good at words.
What you say? Dynamicism.
yeah, I can't pronounce that word, but yeah, and add a dynamic element.
Right.
Distance channel. You know, let me just say that. We definitely can do that as the tournament go on. You get me? I said that's something we can do.
And more make our opinions clear, bro. People, we're cheering for the Reggae Boys. We don't come here and discuss if we think they will do it or not. We just analyze what we say and I'll be honest. But I want them to do it. I want them to make it to the World Cup. I want them, if we finish second, more will beat USA. Do I think it's going to happen? That's a different thing. You see me? So we are cheering for them. We are push positive thoughts. Reggae Boys, we are behind you and we want you to go out there and do your best. Concede as little goals as possible and score the most goals in the tournament. That's what we want. That's what the heart said.
Yes, sir.
Will it happen? We don't know. Let's go, Reggae Boys.
Good stuff.
What an ending by Roshan Smith, the man himself. Couldn't put it better himself, bro. Simon Preston, we know that you're a busy man, traveling all the way from Santa Cruz. It must be jet lagged as it is right now. For a long period of time. So thank you so much for the time in the late night. We appreciate it. And to everybody that was on the initial stream, to everybody who jumped ship and came over to this one, much appreciated. The interaction is valued, and the little confrontation we will have, it's always welcome. Jomar Graham from this side of Sports TV is always ready to beat any one of our subscribers in a fight at any given time, but only like football words fight, not
no
fishing.
Interruptions though, like, bro.
You will never get no super chat.
Interruptions, bro.
People are not putting up on the board.
They're not interrupt, bro. Why you can't just work with what we have? Stop even man them thing, man. People will love when you interrupt. But anyways, finish it. Just have to interrupt you. Just for the sake of it.
I even remember what I said about people, enough love, respect, and appreciation. Simon Preston, thank you for coming on and being a friend of the channel. By the way, people, when you see me, I read out the names of the players today, and me go for the players and which part them come from, and them clubs and them academy and so on and so forth. This team sheet, courtesy of the PA at the last match. I'm not gonna disclose who exactly that person was, but providing me with this sheet, enough appreciation, and thank you so much for tuning in, people. Rush, have any other remarks you want to say?
No, man, we that people love for the love always. You see it? Gunners for life. Arsenal to win the Premier League. Subscribe to the channel. No, what I said a while ago? Yeah, Manchester United, the worst team in it. Anyways, people, thanks for the love.
We know that.
Thanks for passing. Subscribe to the channel. Go watch Reggae Boys coming if you're not already subscribed, and do that. Like, do all of that, and do one more thing.
If you want to get to know some of the players, the likes of Molina and Jamani Bell, so on and so forth, Simon Preston was there at the pre-match training sessions, kept at the Horace Burrell Center of Excellence, and he would have spoken to a few of these boys and asked them some insightful questions, getting to know them, their connection to Jamaica and their football career and history. So go over Simon's channel and go check that out right now, as soon as they come off of the stream, people, and learn some stuff about the players.
There we go.
Share the video to at least 10 people to ensure to get us at least 6 subscribers, because if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, do you know how many subscribers that would get us by the end of the day, people?
Yeah. For now, this was This or That Sports TV, joined by Simon Preston.
And we're out.
Here we go.